Good morning, everybody. You are tuned to Computers 2K Now on the Nissan Communications Network. I'm AMNON, your host for the next 2 hours, along with Mike.
Well, good morning.
A good morning to you and welcome back.
Yeah, thank you.
And Nick is here.
Good morning.
Good morning. And Steve is here.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning. Our number is 919-518-9773, Computers 2K Voice on Skype. And this morning's show is being brought to you by Adamas.com, makers of quality video recorders and converters for professionals. And the broadcast is made possible by Telestream Wirecast software. All right. Done with the introduction. What's going on?
I'll leave that to Mike.
Mike, you had an exciting week.
I did the most difficult remote broadcast I have ever done in my life.
I want to hear all about it.
Oh boy, I tell you,
Every part.
No, you don't. As I've mentioned here before, I do the engineering work for a local podcast / radio show, the Chad Adams Show, chadadamsshow.com. In fact, if you go to chadadamsshow.com, you will hear the shows that we did live from the Republican National Convention, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday from the Radio Row at the RNC Convention, and Friday we did it from the hotel. It just absolutely, by Wednesday night, it was hard for me to move. I was so worn out. And the reason, I don't know how much of this you want to hear, but the reason is, part of the reason is, of course, we had to carry the equipment in. And I've since we've gotten back, and I'm going to have to intersperse some political comments in here, but they're not really caustic. It's just disgusting to hear the news reports of how it was up there when I saw it firsthand and experienced it. I was in the room when Ted Cruz made his speech. I was there. I saw most of it. But the whole place was, I've been into the Oval Office at the White House. Security at the White House didn't hold a candle to the security these guys had. They had these military fences, steel fences. They had the ramps that would move up that had to be lowered to allow the buses to leave. You had to walk, just walk and walk and walk and walk and walk. Nothing was in a straight line. You would have to walk into security, go through the Secret Service check, have everything checked, wanded, metal detectors. Then you'd have to walk a long ways to the left and then a long ways around the corner back to the right. Nothing was in a straight line. And that's done for strategic reasons that are valid.
And you walking around with the equipment?
Oh, yeah. Well, the first day, I mean, carrying it in and then carrying it out. But at the same time, the North Carolina, we stayed at the hotel with the North Carolina Republican Party delegation. And apparently they have made someone mad at the Republican National Committee because our hotel was 11 miles outside of town, which doesn't sound like much until you realize that because of traffic and so forth, it takes 30 minutes to get there. When you get there, you can only get to within a certain distance of where you're going. Now, we were on Radio Row. I mean, it couldn't have been any better in terms of where we were broadcasting from. The facilities were first class. in that it was set up, the RNC set up Radio Row. They hired a professional company to do it. They did a great job. We were in section that was kind of subleased through a talk network or a talk radio network, which allowed us to save a little bit of money. We only needed 4 hours a day. So we actually shared a booth with a radio show out of, I believe they're out of, what is it, Nick? Wisconsin or no,
Yeah, something
Minnesota.
like- yeah,
Minnesota.
Minnesota.
KNIS or KN something.
Minnesota.
I don't remember what it was. KN something radio. They had a guy called Ox in the afternoon. He named Oxnerd or Ox something. He calls himself Ox in the afternoon. Nice guy, very nice guy. He owns several stations up there. So we had to, each day after we did our show, we had to tear the equipment down and put up, he would put up his equipment. He had less equipment than we did because he was simply using a codec to get back to the station with 2 microphones. He was able to play everything from the station. We're not quite that sophisticated yet. We needed to do more of the origination at the remote location, meaning that I took a mixer. I had 2 computers, 2 sound cards, 2 microphones. It was a pretty nice setup. And so anyway, after all the walking, I mean, we were just dead tired. The first day, it had to be 90 something degrees and all that walking. I mean, when we got back to the hotel, we were drenched. We had to leave the hotel at 7 in the morning. We didn't get back till midnight, unless we went back during the day. The Uber ride, we thought there were going to be buses going back and forth, but the times that the buses traveled were not convenient for us because we had to be there before the buses left, meaning that we had to take Ubers or private cars first thing in the morning, which some days it was $18, some days it was $50. So it just would all depend on things. We had 2 bad Uber drivers. It's unfortunate because it's going to hurt Uber to have these bad players. The problem being that they brought in drivers from all over the place to fill in the demand. One of our drivers was from Indianapolis. She had only been there for about 2 hours. She asked us which way we wanted her to turn and which way we wanted her to go. The second bad driver that we had, actually 3 bad drivers. She wasn't that bad. It was okay, but the cost went up because she didn't know where she was going. She took a wrong turn. Another guy missed his turn, and he was from Cleveland. So that ride should have been about $24. It was $37. We had one of the owners of the company I was with. He had to Uber in differently because he was a delegate. His schedule was screwed up much more than ours, and he had to Uber in one morning, and he knew exactly where to go to get closest to the entry to the secure zone. There were only like 3 entrances. We could only go in about 2 of them. And I don't know how many there were. I take that back. There could have been 10, but we're only 2 that were accessible to us from the side that we came in on. And he told him where to turn to drop him. The guy says, "No, I can't go down that street." And he said, "No, you can. You have to go down that street." And Secret Service had told me, "Yes, you can go down that street. You can come down to here and turn around." They had a snowplow blocking the end of the street, so you couldn't go past it. I mean, this place was just a fortress. And the guy got mad with him and said, "Who are you to tell me where I need to go and not go?" He said, "Well, I'm the guy paying the bill." And he used some very ugly language towards him and pulled over and told him to get the F out of his car, and which he did. And of course, he didn't have to pay for that ride. But,
There you go.
so anyway, Uber was 3 bad experiences. I guess under the circumstances, it's probably pretty good odds considering who they were bringing in to do the work. To Uber's credit, I think the longest we ever had to wait for an Uber was probably 7 or 8 minutes.
That's pretty good.
Usually it was 2, about 2 minutes, even 11 miles outside of town. It's probably hard to complain about the distance we were from downtown because the California delegation was in Sandusky, Ohio. Now, I haven't looked at it on a map, and people tend to exaggerate, but they told us it was 60 miles outside of Cleveland. I don't know how far it is. Maybe Paul knows. But it was horrible. I mean, some of the California people were so frustrated with how long it took to get back and forth that at least one guy stayed all night and just didn't bother going back to the hotel because it was so late. These guys have, after the events of the day, which were supposed to end at 10, after the events of the day, there were parties afterwards. I mean, one time our guy got home at 4 o'clock in the morning. It was not unusual to get home at 2 o'clock, 1:30. We were always back. We never got to the hotel, as far as I know, back. Susan and I never got back after midnight. And we're just too old for that nonsense. We're dead to the world. It's a young people's game now. So anyway, as far as the equipment was concerned, again, I don't know how much you want to hear, but there's way too much to tell. I'd be glad to answer any questions. But the equipment, I felt like I was losing my touch because I had more problems than I should have had. I was able to clean up most of the problems that we had with the recordings. Those recordings, again, are now streaming in rotation Monday through Friday at chadadamsshow.com. And I'm pretty proud of what we were able to do. On the first day, I had what I thought was a bad cable. The problem was, and this is a lot of the problem that people have with podcasting and internet broadcasting in general, is that when you take the signal out of your mixer and send it to what we call the streaming computer, the one that interfaces with whatever service you're using to stream, when you stream it, the cable between the output computer and but between the mixer and the streaming computer, you cannot monitor the audio that's going out. And it turns out that the mixer that I took, I had not used in quite a while, and the auxiliary send jack on it had built up oxidation. I thought that I had sprayed deoxit in each of those connectors to eliminate that problem, and I had not done so. And I found out that our board op back at the studio, she's brand new, so she did an excellent job. She really did a good job, but she was not. Her hearing is yet not tuned up to say, Mike, you've got a bad cable. If Nick had listened, he'd have said, Mike, you got a bad cable.
Actually, I did listen, and I did hear you had a bad cable.
Why didn't you tell me?
I did.
No, you said you dropped the audio.
Well, day one, yeah.
Right. So, I mean, he should have said you got a bad cable because it has a unique sound to it.
Yeah.
But there were so many links in the chain, it would have been impossible to know for sure. And I thought it was a bad ground loop isolator, so I changed out the ground loop isolator, and it got better, but then it cut out again the next day. Well, then I started doing some investigating after the show on the second day, and I found out that it was this bad jack on the mixer. The problem was you can't take in any spray chemicals. You can't take any chemicals into the facility. I talked to the guy at Radio 1 to see if they had anything. No, that nobody had been able to bring anything in. You can bring in more things if you ship them in early and give Secret Service time to go through them and verify that they are nothing dangerous. And so anyway, what I did, I came up with this creative idea that I had a spare. I did take a bunch of spare cables, but they were in the hotel. So that night, I had taken some deoxit with me, not the right one, the new one I bought, I'll talk about, but I took the deoxit and I sprayed a new cable on both ends. I saturated it and scrubbed it down, saturated it again, took it in the next day, plugged it in, worked the connector quite a few times. To my knowledge, we didn't have another problem with it. However, on the next day, the internet at the studio went down for about 3 minutes.
Oh, that's
Right?
what that was?
Yeah, the internet at the studio went down, and I believe it was during the Alan West interview.
It was during. It was right after the commercial break. It was the first hour after the half an hour break.
Yeah, and I'm not sure what the interview was, but it was right in the middle of the interview. So, of course, there's nothing you can do about that. And I said, okay, that's fine. And on the fourth day, I believe it was the fourth day. I can't remember what day. But on the fourth day, let me think what the problem was that happened there. Oh, the streaming computer back at the studio did a Windows update and rebooted.
Yeah,
That may have been, it's fourth day.
That's pretty funny.
I think you need to take the silence as being just what it meant, the silence. What?
And but fortunately, the board op knew what it was. She told me immediately, And once it started back up, then thankfully Total Recorder, which is what we use to capture the streaming audio, did restart automatically, which I was impressed with. I didn't know it would. The software that we use to stream the rotation normally is Zara Radio, Z-A-R-A, Zara Radio from zarastudio.es. Great little program for free. It did not restart. So after the show, it was not restreaming the rotation. So one thing after the next, it was just a comedy of errors. Thankfully, to an extent, I use my Sony digital recorder to record locally at the location, at the remote location. I had all of the recordings for Monday through Thursday on my digital recorder. We moved back to the hotel on Friday, and because of the way we packed up in a hurry on Thursday afternoon, when we got the equipment set up in the studio in downtown, in the lobby at the hotel, not downtown, in the studio lobby downtown, I couldn't find my digital recorder. I thought I'd lost it. And so it was not set up to record the first hour locally in the hotel. But thankfully, there were no glitches in the stream back to the studio. So the Friday recording is actually the recording that we made on the Denon digital recorder back at the studio. And it's very good. It worked out really well. When I got home and I was trying to compile all of these recordings, since I had moved some of the files off of the recorder to make sure I didn't run out of space, because each of these files is 1.2 gigabytes. And to make sure I didn't run out of space on the digital recorder, I moved 5 shows off of the digital recorder onto one of the two laptop computers I took into the facility. I couldn't find them. I could find 3 of them, but not the other 2. And then I found the 4th one. I couldn't find the 5th one. And as luck would have it, it was on one of the 2 computers. I was just so blitzed mind-wise, I didn't realize it had given it a different name. So I found it under a different name, meaning that I now have all 5 recorders. I only missed the first hour of the local recording on the last day, but I had the good quality copy of that on the studio recording. I was able to take all those and process those and save them in MP3 using the Fraunhofer codec, and they're now streaming at the chadadamshow.com link. All in all, it was a blitzkrieg. I mean, it was nonstop. I mean, I met a ton of people. One of the benefits of being on Radio Row with proper credentials is that you're there with other media people, and they don't stick their nose up in the air like they do when they go out in public, because they know that the other media people aren't really impressed. Dan Rather, I mean, even he was courteous. What is this guy? Alan Combs was there. He's really a nice guy. I was sitting in the booth either Monday or Tuesday afternoon after the show. Dick Morris comes by, wanting to know whether he could get something to eat on the floor, which there was nothing to eat on the floor.
They had no food there?
No, not at all. You had to go out into the area outside the facility, and all you could get was tacos, hamburgers, junk food, purely junk food.
Hamburger's my favorite. I would have.
Yeah,
perfect.
$10 for a hamburger.
That's not that bad.
So, Mike, did you have to take the equipment apart every night?
Yes.
Why?
Because the space is very limited, and I had to take it apart and put it in a pile behind so that Ox could come in and set up his equipment. He was entitled to have his equipment there without it looking like it was a reused booth.
Oh, so the same booth had 2 identities.
Yep.
Yes.
At certain times. Oh,
yes,
I see.
we even changed all the signage.
Okay.
But we weren't the only ones doing that. I mean, Nick asked me to go look up a guy that's from his hometown. It's Talk 1300. When he asked me to walk down to the ABC part of and I mean, ABC, CNN, all the CNN morons were there. All of the Fox morons were there, and walking around without their noses up in the air. And it was really funny again to see all of these TV Barbies. I mean, you look like it reminded me of Tammy Faye Baker. If they had laid face down on a pillow, their face would have been left on the pillow from the makeup. And But he asked me to walk down and look for this particular radio station, which I did. It was Talk 1300. But when I walked down there, I couldn't find them. He sent me a picture of their booth, and I looked at it, and I could recognize where it was. There were 160 media outlets on Radio Row, including the CNNs and the large booths and all that. I walked and couldn't find it, and I said, wait a minute, I got an idea. So I picked the booth I thought it was, which was, I forget, what was the station?
WGN, right?
Yeah, WGN, Chicago. I mean, WGN, I mean, they were big station, gigantic 50,000 watt clear channel station up in Chicago. I mean, you'd think they'd have their own booth. And I said, do you guys share this booth? And the guy was actually courteous. He said, yeah, we do. And I said, do you know what the other station is? He said, no, I'm not sure what it is. I looked down and noticed that the front of the booth, which was really white foam board with logos on it, that was stuck to the table with Velcro. I looked down and noticed there was a second, the WGN placard was actually laying up there, not stuck to the table. And I pulled it forward, and there were the call letters of the station that Nick had me to look for. The next morning, I went back over there and talked to I guess he's the owner or manager of the station, Paul, and spoke with him just briefly and mentioned Nick to him.
Well, it makes sense. Think about it. You're doing 2 hours of a show a day. Do you really need to pay for? Makes no sense to have a booth if you're doing a 2-hour radio show to have the booth all day.
Well, I disagree. I mean, the things that I would do differently now, there's a long list of things I would do differently or do different. First, I would have a booth all day. And the reason why is because our show was there from 7 to 9. Sometimes people didn't get there till 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon. And theoretically, what would have been nice to do, for starters, I mean, if you're going to promote your show, which anyone who's in the broadcasting business, terrestrial or otherwise, needs to promote 24/7, because we had to take down our banner. We had a beautiful banner of the Chad Adams Show, and we had to take that down. It would have been nice if everyone who had walked through the area had seen the banner of the Chad Adams Show. Now, granted, this was a national show. The difference was not that big a deal, but anybody in North Carolina, this show is only for North Carolina stations. And it would have been nice if each of those people from North Carolina had come through and been able to at least been exposed to it once, in case your chance of them picking it up as a terrestrial station. But the other part of it was I could have done quite a bit of work there, and we could have been there at certain times of the day when certain guests walked through. We could have done recorded interviews to use later in the week and had a lot of useful content later in the week. It turns out that a lot of the interviews that we did, and this is interesting. I mean, even if you're a liberal, your head will explode if you listen to a lot of this. So be careful. But it's from a say again.
So that's your warning to the
that's your warning. You're on your own. But if you listen to it on Monday, and what was Cruz's speech Wednesday night?
Cruz's speech was Tuesday night.
Are you sure?
No, Wednesday night.
So if you listen to the shows Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, when people talk in anticipation of what Cruz is going to do, you will see how wrong people are when they predict things. I mean, this is kind of a political comment. You'll see people who post, did you see what so-and-so say? Oh, it's over. Hillary's going to lose. She just screwed up. All these predictions. You'll see how wrong many of these predictions are. I mean, most people, I would say, would predicted that Cruz would bury the hatchet and would try to play nice and unify the party, which then he got up there and he did not choose to do. Political comment, you will see in the media that a lot of people were saying, in fact, Cruz was accusing the New York delegation, which was front row, was accusing the New York delegation, which is obviously pro-Trump. They were accusing the New York delegation of starting the booing and getting the place going. Well, that's not true. I had a really good seat at probably the first level. And in the media section, there was a guy who was sitting about 20 feet away from me who started yelling at Cruz about 5 minutes before the booing even really started. He said, say it. And he started using profanity, and he was talking about, you go ahead. He could tell that he wasn't going to do it. And I actually thought,
obvious.
Well, I thought Secret Service was going to come talk to this guy because he was getting out of whack. And they did not. They let him have his say. And when the booing started, it did not start at the center and ripple throughout the facility. The facility started booing all at the same time, because these people who attend this thing, they know politics. They're definitely into what's going on. They know how the game works, and a lot of what was reported was just flat wrong. It just was flat wrong. Did you guys see? And it's probably the only story that was reported. Did you guys see the story of the protester who stood up with a sign and said, "Build bridges, not walls"?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Code Pink. They were in there twice. The same girl.
It was the same lady, same girl. She was about 20 feet from where we were. I don't know if you saw her tackle. All the cameras in the place focused on her, so you probably saw everything we did better than we did. They sort of snatched the sign out of her hand the second time. I didn't see her the first time. They snatched the sign out of her hand the second time. Then they sort of tackled her, but then they eased off, because I assume they didn't want to be on camera taking her out. But they eventually had to carry her out under arms, I don't know. I saw her carrying her out. You're ready for what they didn't tell you.
Oh, I think I know what they didn't tell you.
She had a press pass.
Yep, exactly. Who gave her that press pass 2 days in a row?
Some of the press gave her that, knowing what she was going to do.
Yep. The media is neutral, though. Don't worry.
Right? Yeah, they're going to be fair and balanced.
Yeah, everybody's fair.
Uh,
Yes,
All right, so
2 days she was there.
Mike, go back to the booth. So yours was 7 till 9.
Right.
When did the other
9 to 11?
9 to 11? When did the other station use it?
They were live 3 to 6.
3 to 6. So who had banners in there in the dead times, in the
Well,
off times?
Technically, nobody. We tried to be out by 12:30 to give him time to set up.
So is it nobody because you guys were not there to put your banner out after they were gone, or because people were not supposed to put banners on a booth if they were not there? You know?
Well, after the show was over, see, we have terrestrial affiliates for the show. After the show is over, we have to do some editing to the show and upload it to an FTP site for the affiliates.
Mm-hmm.
That normally takes about 30 minutes of processing time to do that. But with me having to do everything remotely, it really took about an hour.
Okay.
Because I had to move things back and forth. And between the studio, FTP, download it, edit it, upload it to FTP, the whole nine. I mean, it took about an hour. And during that time, I really couldn't do anything. We were sitting there. But as soon as I was done, we immediately tried to tear everything down, including the banner, because we did not want to sit there instead of going out and doing things. I mean, at this point in time, we had not even had anything to eat. I don't eat buns and biscuits and all that stuff, and all we could find to eat for a couple of days was a muffin. So we and neither Susan nor I had dinner any night we were there. We were unable to find anything to eat. On a couple of days we did eat a fairly decent lunch, and so I mean, I may have lost 5 or 10 pounds there, and what was so strange about it is that each night that we went back to the hotel, we had not eaten dinner. Neither of us was even hungry.
Because you're out doing stuff all day. There's no time to be hungry.
We were not in hunger. What I did was that, I mean, this is on the air. I don't care. I have stomach issues that I've had all my life. No big deal. It's something that 50% of the population has at one level or another. But so when I got back to the hotel, Susan had brought some cheese crackers with peanut butter, the Lance crackers, the orange crackers, and I ate a pack of those for 2 nights, and I was totally fine. And I mean, you got to keep your system working, so I just ate that, and it was just a strange time.
Paul is asking, what was the internet speed?
Internet was fantastic. These guys there, again, we had we were as part of a subgroup. We were like sublessees of a group that had rented probably, I'm going to say 10 booths, and then they subbed them out. They had their own booth, but they're actually a network. So what they did is kind of like ABC probably rented 20 booths, and they had their stations working in and out of their booths. Well, this was a talk network, and we rented a booth through these guys because we were able to get it cheaper. We were able to only get half booths. As far as I know, the RNC was not leasing out half booths. They weren't interested in doing all that. But this group that we leased it from had their own internet connection, which was 1 gigabit symmetrical fiber AT&T. But it makes, and this is probably one of the most interesting points for the show today, being a technical show. By the way, if anybody's sick of hearing this, post in chat and I'll shut up. But what was interesting about it is whenever I was done editing the show, and it was hardwired Ethernet. When I uploaded it to the FTP site from the location, you got to really see what 1 gigabit upload is. Now, this was shared. It was not full 1 gigabit, but I have supposedly 1 gigabit at home, which is a joke. But when I uploaded it from there, I mean, it would take me a minute to upload it at home. It took 15 seconds there. It just lickety split. We never had one moment's worth of interruption in the internet, as far as I know. There was plenty of bandwidth for everyone. Even I did a speed test out of curiosity on Wi-Fi, 3 millisecond ping time through speedtest.net
That's pretty good.
on Wi-Fi. There's more latency between the router than that. I mean, it was all that was done well. The real criticism that I have of the Radio Row is that it would have been nice to have had our booth, A, not to tear it down, B, to be able to have access to the studio, because on day 2, we did not go back to the hotel and we didn't have a place to flop. Susan was doing all of the guest setups and scheduling. She's the one who brought the guests in, which she's extremely good at doing. That's one of her fortes. And she didn't have a place to work. At one point, we had to go set up in the lobby and use the local Wi-Fi there, which was not as good as the dedicated Wi-Fi we have. So then we'd have to go find a booth where no one was using it. For some reason, EWTN, the Catholic network, was directly across from us. Of the 4 days, they probably didn't have anyone in their booth for one full day total, meaning that we were able to use their chairs and sit over there, which was fine. And if they came up, we put them back immediately. So, I mean, it was all very collegial. People were very helpful. And Nick, we were right next to the Comrex booth. The guy who was in the Comrex booth was actually their national sales manager. It was interesting to talk with him. I'm not sure why he had a booth there unless he was there for support for so many people who were there using Comrex. I believe they were renting out Comrex units, access and brick links to people who were there.
That would make sense.
And but good guy. No, I mean, just nice guy, very helpful. Everything was just friendly. Let me tell you something about Cleveland. Cleveland has changed, and I say this sort of to be funny, but not really. Back when I was engaged to be married in 1978, American Airlines was running a special for $200. You could fly anywhere in the country you wanted to go within 2 weeks' time. So 2 weeks' time, if you wanted to go to San Francisco and leave there to go to LA, leave there to go to San Diego, leave there to go to Dallas, then back to Las Vegas, up to Detroit, down to Miami. It doesn't matter. As long as you could get the flight, you could go anywhere you wanted to go for 2 weeks' time. Well, back in those days, I was in the radio business and I was a big fan of WGAR 1220 in Cleveland. I called the airline, which was the only way you could book a ticket in those days, and said, all right, what does your scheduling look like going into Cleveland? And the reservation agent said, why do you want to go to Cleveland? or you sure you want to go to Cleveland? And so she talked me out of it. And a couple of weeks later, when I was planning the trip again, I called and I said, what about Cleveland? And that agent said, are you sure you want to go to Cleveland? It happened twice. And so I didn't go. And I've heard some really bad things about the way the place had deteriorated and that sort of thing. People were just as nice as they could be for the most part. Secret Service were nice. The police were very nice. The TSA agents were there. I mean, they had brought in people from everywhere. The buses, there must have been literally, I'll pick a number. It's nowhere near accurate, I guess. There must have been 300 buses there, and whoever coordinated the buses in and out of the facility did a fabulous job. They were perfectly lined up. They operated on schedule. The last night, Thursday night, we actually were able to ride the bus back to the hotel. It left, I guess, I guess it was about 11:30, 12. I don't know what time it was. But you would think that with that many people trying to leave the facility, and it was jam packed, wall to wall full, that many people leaving, you'd think it would be like a ball game where it takes an hour to get out. We had zero delays getting out of the facility. We backed out of the parking spot, pulled straight out, got straight out onto the road. There was no road congestion. It worked perfectly. Whoever did that did just a perfect job of coordinating those buses. So that was a good thing. Several of the events that were organized, one at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, total disaster. They had so many people in there. The RNC had a Sunday night, had a free admission to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame for anyone who was a delegate or media. We got over there. We had to stand in line an hour and a half to get in. We got in, started looking around. It was so crowded that you would bump into people walking down the hallway. And after about an hour, we just left. We were able to get on a bus. So we got on the bus about 45 minutes before it left and just sat there and then waited. And we finally were able to ride the bus back to the hotel that night. Tuesday, there was another event. Now this one you want me to come back to this or keep going?
I want to go back to technical.
Go.
How well insulated sound treatment was the room?
Zero.
Zero. So I would imagine that there was a lot of noise with all those booths all around you. How did you manage it?
I have a comment.
That's part of the attraction is that you're live and it sounds live. I mean, think about a CNN quote unquote reporter going to a rock concert. You hear people in the background, you hear the music and all that sort of thing. That's just part of the ambiance.
Okay.
It's not a
Okay.
problem. But
All right.
again, I would challenge you to go to chadadamshow.com and the recording that you're hearing is recorded directly off the mixer except for Friday. That's with no processing, no nothing. It's totally raw. That's exactly what the signal sounds like being fed back to the studio. I would challenge you to listen and you tell me about the background noise.
Well,
Now, what you will notice is that when Chad, the host, is talking, the noise is pretty low. Whenever there's a guest on, then the noise picks up because that microphone is turned around backwards and it picks up the people in the hallway and in the other booths a lot better. By the way, if you use Facebook, go to Chad Adams Show, the Chad Adams Show Facebook page. He has a page for the show. Go to the Chad Adams Show Facebook page. Scroll down, you will see a lot of pictures of the guests, and you will see some of the pictures of what the place looked like. There is even one video where one of our people took the phone and walked down the hall from the booth to kind of get a layout of what the show is. It's not a real good video, but it works fine. Any of the pictures, one of the pictures you can see about half of me. I'm sitting on Chad's right, wearing a red T-shirt that day, I believe. But if any of the pictures you see that show Chad's right ear as in the shot show that you can see the guest across the desk, I took those pictures with my iPhone, emailed them to Chad. He uploaded them to Facebook. But you can really get a good feel for the layout by looking at those pictures and hear some of the stories there. And I met some interesting people. I mean, Dinesh D'Souza, nice as he could be. Ann Coulter, very nice person. All these people were very nice. Met Scott Brown, Frank Keating, former governor of Oklahoma, as I recall, former attorney general of, I forget what state he was, Reyes. These people are just high achievers, very high achievers. You got to respect what they've done. a number of people we were able to meet. Brent Bozell, a lot of people don't know who he is. He's actually William F. Buckley's brother-in-law, but he operates the Media Research Center. We met his son, David, who operates a social media company that's trying to drag the Republican Party into the 21st century. There's a lot of people. I don't even remember who all I met. I'm not really a stargazer because these people really don't impress me that much. They just happen to willing to be able to pay the price that they pay to do what they do. They're really not any better than anybody else. They're not that good. I mean, and I say this not because I like him, but because, and I think Nick would agree with me, Chad Adams at what he does is probably as good as any of these people on any of the national networks.
Yes.
Nick, you wanted to make a comment.
Yeah, so I was listening to a few shows that were originating from where Mike was, and everybody else is using their what was the guy Talk 1300 using? The RE20?
No, RE320.
RE320. Everybody's got all this background noise. I didn't hear much on Chad's with those ATR 2100s, man. I'll tell you.
AT2005s.
I'm telling you. I heard way too much background noise coming from the RE320s and the typical radio microphones that everybody was bringing.
Now
a whole lot from Chad's.
The facility furnished Shure SM58s.
Oh, yeah.
They would provide them for free, and it's amazing how many people use them. KABC, WGN, a lot of these stations use the ones they provided. I'm not a fan of the SM58, but I would argue that our audio of the few streams I was able to hear, our audio had the lowest noise of anyone using a separate mic. Now, to Ox's credit, the guy who was in the booth with us, he was using a headset mic. That they're very good on noise cancellation. I mean, they were motivated by airplane pilots using noise canceling microphones. So they are really good at noise canceling. But if he had a guest, then he had the same problem. He told me at the end of the first day, because what we were going to do is he and I were going to use his RE320s and just leave them set up to sort of minimize setup time. But after the first day, he told me, he said, "You don't want to use these mics." I said, "Why not?" He said, "They are terrible for background noise." He said, "Yours are much better." And I was going to offer him to use ours, but because we were leaving before his Thursday show, we just left well enough alone. He used his, I used mine.
Yeah.
That's why I was asking, because there is not much noise.
A lot of that's mic technique. I mean, you'll hear Chad popping the mic a lot, and that's unfortunate, but it was either that or the background noise, and I chose the mic popping.
No, it was, you did a great job.
Well, thank you.
There's no doubt.
I will tell you that, and I mean this sincerely. I joke a lot, and I'm full of it, but it definitely was not as good as I wanted it to be. It's been a long time since I've done something like that, and I've lost some of my touch. If I were to do it a second time, it would definitely be better, because now I remember some of the things I've learned 100 years ago that kind of disappeared over time.
I've got one more quick thing, and I guess we can move on. If you were to do it again, I was thinking about this. Would you bring some type of telephone system as a backup in case the internet wasn't because if there was no internet, you would have been SOL.
But the whole place would have been shut down without the internet.
Yeah.
They would have to had fixed it. Had we not had, I mean, we could have gone down at the internet back at the studio, but there was no way to interface the telephone back at the studio through the internet, because we use internet telephone back at the studio.
I'm saying, was there telephone hookups at your booth?
No.
Was there only Ethernet?
Only Ethernet. Everyone well, now let me take that back. Some booths had telephones installed.
So that's what you would have need to had, I guess.
And well, it wouldn't have done us any good, because I guess it could have been, because we would have dialed into the studio on telephone. Yeah. But if I guess the question is, the backup plan is, if the facility internet had gone down, Chad would have done it on his telephone.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because I was thinking like that would be if you were having both of those going at the same time, and it's like, oh, internet drops out, you just put up a different fader, and it's like no hiccup.
But because of the timing of Chad's show from 9 to 11 each day, a lot of people listen to the replay because the way it works is he does his show live from 9 to 11, and then it repeats 24 hours a day,
Yeah.
meaning that if you don't get a chance to listen at 9, if you tune in at the odd hour, which would be 5 o'clock in the afternoon, 7 o'clock at night, you're going to hear the show that started at 9 o'clock. The show is timed to start exactly on the odd hour, like it does at 9 o'clock, which is an odd hour. And a lot of people are at work and other places. They're not able to listen live. So the recording was the main thing. What would have happened if the internet had gone down? We would have done a show exactly the same way since I was recording locally. We would have taken that show and somehow at the hotel or whatever, we would have uploaded the show to the FTP site, downloaded it at the studio, and streamed it live from the studio. And I have to say that this hotel where we stayed in something Heights, Ohio, Warren Heights or something like that, the internet was excellent. You know how often we have bad internet at the hotel?
Don't even get me started. Yeah.
It was excellent. I mean, we had zero problems when we and this is technical. So whenever we broadcast the show from the hotel on Friday morning, it was over the hotel's Wi-Fi in the lobby, and we had zero issues. It was perfect.
You were saying that the place had their own Wi-Fi. Could you switch real quick from the gigabit that you were sharing to the facilities internet?
Not unless somebody gave us their password.
Okay.
But
So
I'm sure that was an extra paid for thing because I'm
Oh,
sure
yeah.
places didn't need like AMNON. If you were doing this with a telephone hybrid, you didn't need internet. You would just use your phone or something or an iPad with cellular data.
I'm sure that
yeah, well,
that a telephone line installed in the booth would have been much more expensive.
Yeah.
Paul is saying that the phones at the venues were VoIP, so they would have been down too.
Well,
And that makes a
maybe
lot of
maybe
sense.
not.
I don't know.
They could have been PRI.
I would doubt that they would be using VoIP, knowing that it's all going to be radio stations
Well,
using it.
not
I don't
sure
know.
because the VoIP that telephone companies use is not the same level of VoIP that we use
Mhm.
with VoIPO and others.
No, I get that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a very high grade, very, very good service compared to the consumer grade stuff. It's like their commercial 1 gigabit AT&T fiber internet versus the one I get at home, which is terrible.
Oh, it was AT&T fiber gigabit?
Yep.
Oh,
Yep.
I didn't know that. Okay.
Yep. And
So
one of the interviews we did on the show is with the guy who set up the entire event. He was the tech guy who coordinated the entire show there and talked about it. He God knows what he's doing. I mean, kudos to him because he really understands what he's doing. He got it right. He got it right. Back to the question you asked, the one thing I would have changed differently, and it would have cost a few thousand extra, but it would have been nice to have the booth, and because the facility was open 24/7, we could get in there anytime. And I will tell you that we had our entrance passes. So you got a new pass every day, new credentials every day, which they do for security purposes. Ours were radio TV credentials, and we were able to get places that other people were not able to go. I mean, we were even in a part of the arena at one point with a really good seat, and one of the delegates walked in there with us, and security made the delegate leave the area where we were. Delegates are kind of gold passes. They get to go anywhere, anytime, and do anything. They're treated with royalty because it's their event.
yeah, it's the media can be there or not be there. The delegates have to.
Yeah,
I mean,
it is their event. All right, so that's enough of that.
All right,
I
so
may
you
think of
are
some other.
so now you are just recuperating.
I am as worn out and tired as I've ever been. I have so much to do this weekend. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, but look how
And-
much experience you have now under your belt.
Well, but what good is it?
Well, I mean, it's good. Anytime we learn something, it's good. Come on.
No, I think it was good.
The problem, and I'm not joking. The problem is it's relearning.
Yeah,
There's
it's
nothing
relearning.
new
I was
here
just
for
going
me.
to say, not learning, but relearning and brushing up on. And
But I do.
we are our worst critics. So
Yeah.
I can see where you saying, I would have done it better if I had to do it again. But
But you'd
what I
always say
heard
that.
was good.
Yeah, I
Was
mean, you
great.
would always say that. You always would hope to learn from doing anything,
Yeah.
particularly when it's new. I mean, Republican National Convention, this is not a minor event.
Right.
This is like covering the Olympics. This is it they don't know for sure, but it is either the second or third largest gathering of media in the United States. The first was the Olympics. The second is either this event or the Super Bowl. They're debating which of those is number two. I suspect the Super Bowl was probably larger, but they had so many more people because the spaces were available because of the excellent job they did in setting up Media Row. And Media Row, by the way, if you want to look at a Google map of Progress Field, if you look at the arena, the Q, it's called the Q, it's the Quicken Arena in Cleveland. If you go look at a Google map of the area, that Quicken Arena is immediately adjacent to Progress Field, the baseball field. They're just a few feet apart. You walk out of one into the other. Where if you will look on the top, let's just think about this for a second. If you look at a map such that the arena is at the bottom right side of the screen, Progress Field will be at the upper left diagonal of the screen. Where we were would be in the lower left part of the screen, which is the parking lot. They converted this parking deck into Media Row. They turned it into a building, which I cannot imagine what it cost to do that. And they just did Warrensville Heights is where the hotel was on Harvard Road. But they converted it into this building, and they did a fabulous job. It was impressive. You really could not tell it was a parking deck.
Nice. All right. Our number is 919-518-9773. Computers 2K Voice on Skype. So what else happened this week? I know with the convention, it was probably taking most of the time we spent in computers and media, but some other things. Were there any McDonald's or Starbucks around there, Mike?
Inside?
No, I mean, well, around. I'm just trying to segue.
In
Says,
Cleveland? Yeah, they were everywhere.
anti-pornography groups have succeeded in their effort to get Starbucks and McDonald's to block porn on the chain's Wi-Fi network. We had not heard from our customers that this was an issue, but we saw an opportunity that is consistent with our goal of providing an enjoyable experience for families. They said in a statement. Starbucks said Friday it will do the same thing at its company-owned stores around the globe as well, once we determine that our customers can access our free Wi-Fi in a way that also doesn't involuntarily block unintended content. So they're doing stuff that, even though people are not asking for it, I would think that McDonald's goers definitely will say, yeah, but people that go to Starbucks, I don't know. So did you upgrade everything
They
to
don't
Windows
want
10?
you looking at porn while you're munching.
What, Steve? Sorry.
Doesn't matter.
Huh?
It's not important. Doesn't matter.
Come on, it is.
It wasn't. It was. I just said they don't like you watching porn while you're having a munch.
Oh, yeah, no, I think it's because there are a lot of kids at McDonald's, too. But did everybody update to Windows 10? Not much time left.
I've got it on all mine except the netbook, which it won't do, although it says it could, and the Media Center PC. Otherwise, I'm Windows 10 all the way now.
Well, Microsoft is now promising that their Microsoft Store employees will give you a free Dell laptop if the staff cannot do the same upgrade on your eligible PC by close of business. They said that to be eligible for the Dell Inspiron 15, the PC must meet Microsoft upgrade requirements and be checked by noon, checked in by noon. And in a further effort to boost adoption of their Windows 10 operating system, Microsoft is also announcing that if your PC isn't compatible with Windows 10, we'll recycle it and give you $150 toward the purchase of a new PC. This second offer is limited to PC already running Windows 8. Both offers are valid until July 29th while supplies last. So there's a lot. I mean, reading this week, Steve, and what you're also saying about not being eligible from Dave's Computer Tips. Apparently, a lot of computers are not compatible because of their video driver.
Yeah, I read that one as well. USS Rover in the chat saying make an ISO, then do a clean install. I have thought possibly of giving it a go with, because it's a netbook, so it hasn't got a DVD drive.
Right.
Giving it a go with a USB installation media. But do I really want to waste a whole day again? I might do. I might later on today, perhaps. Thanks for the tip. I appreciate it.
It's just that 29th coming up pretty fast.
It is, yeah. Every day that goes by, is another one?
When is the 29th? That's next Friday. This coming Friday. Yeah.
Actually, I could try and do it on the air here, because if it's only going to take half an hour, verify whether it works. Grab the netbook while I mute the mic. Do it live.
All right. I was I had a PC here, an HP all-in-one with a touch screen, and I took it up and put it on the bench, and I saw that it wasn't updated in about a year, so I did all the updates, and then it said it wants to do Windows 10. And I saw how slow it was. And it has 4 gig and 32-bit Windows 7 Home Premium. I don't use it much. I said, yeah, I'll do it. But then I said, nah, I mean, never mind. Windows 7, I know Windows 7 works on it. I don't know how the Windows 10 with all the touch screen and this and that and the other would have worked on an HP all-in-one, so I left it alone. But
does
then,
anybody know what the cost is going to be to upgrade to Windows 10 if you don't do it for the free?
I have not seen anything.
So it will be the same price as a regular copy of Windows, which will be, I mean, I don't think there's going to be an upgrade price. You're just going to have to go to Amazon and buy. Home, I believe, is $70, and I believe Pro is $100.
The reason I ask is because I do have these 2 computers that I cannot run Windows 10 on them because of the sound card that doesn't have the drivers. And AMNON, the studio downtown has the same problem because we use the 1010 LT, which we love. But what I'm thinking about doing is getting a couple of hard drives. In fact, I may even have a couple. I may ghost these drives over to those, upgrade them to Windows 10, and then put my old drive back in and tell it no thanks.
I don't know how that works with registration, though.
I don't either, but it'll be worth trying. At this point, I have to leave them on Windows 7.
Well, here's the thing. If you have to leave them on Windows, so this is going to sound really bad. But if you need to leave it on Windows 7, the Windows 10 is $100, but I mean, it's not like you'd ever need to upgrade to Windows 10 on that. I mean, you are most likely going to need to build a new computer before you'll have to upgrade that computer to Windows 10.
You say that, but I would challenge it and only at one level.
Okay.
These are i7s with 16 gig of RAM.
Oh, okay. Never mind then.
They are going to be useful for a long
Mhm.
time,
Right.
Okay.
even if only for audio computers.
Interesting.
I mean,
You should,
whenever 4K becomes the standard and all that, there are going to be things that are going to be much, much faster, and you wouldn't want to use them for that. But right now, for audio, they're screamers.
Interesting.
The question is, when will support for Windows 7 terminate?
They just didn't. I think they just renewed it for longer. I'm not sure, to be honest with you.
I mean, 2020 will be here before you know it.
Yeah, no, it will be. You're right.
Yeah, but a lot will change between now and then.
USS Rover says there's no problem having both 7 and 10 on separate hard drives.
Okay, good.
So I'm going to do that. But what I was thinking is if I go out and buy 256 gigabyte SSDs to ghost the drive over to update it, then I might as well just wait and pay for the upgrade if I ever need it. That's about what I'd pay for the upgrade. So what point is it to have a hard drive other than I'd have another backup?
That's a good point. That's a good point, Mike. I would say just put any old drive off the shelf that you have. Doesn't have to be an SSD or anything. An 80 gig will be enough, and just put it on it, ghost it, and put that on the side.
80 gig wouldn't be enough because these are 200. I have a 120 in one and a 256 in the other, and they are pretty full.
Now, Mike, I know you say that Delta 1010 doesn't work in Windows 10, but I guess I'm reading that there is like workarounds to get it to work. Have you tried any of the workarounds?
I haven't found one. If you can find one, that would be fantastic.
I guess people are saying that you have to reinstall the driver with compatibility mode on. I don't know if you've tried that.
I wouldn't care about that. That would be fine if that would work. But the many posts that I've read, there are even some caustic attacks on people who make those statements saying, no, it doesn't work. I mean, who knows?
Interesting. Well, if you're going to upgrade anyway, you might as well fart around with it while you got the Windows 10
I absolutely
drive in there.
I just don't know how much time I'm going to have this week. I mean, it's
I mean, you don't need to. When's the upgrade end?
this week.
It does this week?
Next Sunday on this show, it will have been too late.
Interesting. Yeah. Or you could torrent it, like most people do anyway.
No, don't do that.
No, I get that.
It will be interesting to see what people come up with after Friday.
I can't wait. I can't wait for people to be complaining that
Why can't we do it now?
I'm going to lose my crap on the show next week when
They only had a year.
somebody in the chat says, "Well, I want Windows 10 now." I'm gonna put a hole through this freaking wall next to me because everybody, we don't like Windows. We don't like Windows. Now they've waited till the last week. They're gonna upgrade. It's not gonna work, and it's gonna be Microsoft's problem. They've had a year to upgrade their operating system and make sure.
John RTP says you can download the Windows 10 ISO for free. All you need is a license. John, if you'd post a link to the site that you found, I would like to find that. I know that they're available, but I don't remember which one it is at this point.
Yeah, somebody else when we were talking was saying that this can be done because think about it this way. You upgrade today. It went through.
Yeah.
In 3 months, your drive crashes. What do? At that point, there is no path to upgrade. So they said that if you have and they don't give you a new key either, but apparently it registers it somewhere when you upgrade, and then you can do a clean install with Windows 10 using the Windows 7 key that they know was upgraded by you 3 months
Correct.
earlier.
You can you authenticate your window. Like I'm looking at my Windows 10 product key.
Mm-hmm.
It's not the same as my Windows 8 product key, but it's but it's linked. Like if I go to Microsoft's
Yeah.
website, I put in my Windows 8 product key and it lets me download 10.
Right. That's how it's going to work.
Yeah.
So
Say that again, Nick.
Your Windows 7 or 8 product key is like it's like the password to get in to download Windows 10. Microsoft sees that key and it goes, okay, that's a Windows 7 key. And it goes, oh, okay. And that's also a key that was upgraded to Windows 10. So essentially it gives you a key based on your Windows 7 or 8 key if it was, upgraded within the year to Windows 10. That's how they're doing it. You're not actually you're like almost leasing the Windows 10 key because you're not getting a Windows 10 license key. You're using your Windows 7 or 8 to get a copy of Windows 10. It's
Mike, think about it this way. It's the same as if you go to a club and they stamp the back of your hand. You can go out and come back.
No, I get it. But I'm looking at this link John posted, and it says, do you need to create a USB, DVD, or ISO? And it says, if you need to install or reinstall Windows 10 using a USB or DVD, you can use the media creation tool below to create your own installation media with either a USB flash drive or a DVD. The tool provides file formats optimized for download speed and can be used to create ISO. So it's not, that link is not the ISO file. It is a tool to create the ISO file.
Yeah, but if the ISO is already in existence on the internet,
well, let me ask this
provided-
question. Maybe Rover knows the answer to this one. I don't know the answer to it. What if you download the ISO now but don't install it?
Well, the trick, Mike, is that if you install it later on, what are you going to put in as the key?
The Windows 7 product key, just like you do now.
No, but when you do it now with the Windows 7 key, it registers somewhere that this particular key was upgraded to Windows 10. So it's in there on their record that it was done. So
now,
when you come
let me
back,
challenge you on that.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this question.
Yeah.
All right. So next Sunday, the deal's off.
Right.
Let's suppose that you have that ISO.
Mhm.
You have a hard drive failure the day after the deal is off.
Mhm.
You have the ISO. You put in the new hard drive. You want to reinstall Windows 10, which you upgraded.
Right.
You're going to have to use the Windows 7 key. The
Correct.
only solution I see is that when it verifies that key, it will be flagged as having updated within the allotted time.
Exactly.
Yes, exactly. Once I would assume they're just keeping track of what Windows 7 or Windows 8 keys were upgraded.
Right.
And if you were upgraded, you're allowed to
do it
install
again.
Windows 10.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Anders is saying that the key would be verified if it's done before the upgrade
Right.
runs out.
So
I'm assuming
Because
that's what-
otherwise, it's a disaster. What do you do?
which it kind of makes it easy that you're not having to now keep track of a key that you never really purchased, because that becomes messy. At least with the Windows 7 or Windows 8 key, it's printed on the side of your computer.
Right.
It's printed in the book. You have the case with the USB flash drive in it. It's printed somewhere. With this, it's just like it's willy-nilly. It's nowhere. It's in the middle of nowhere. And I'm looking at my Windows 10 product key, and because I upgraded day one, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 14 zeros in my product key. That's how early of a Windows 10 product key it is.
Well,
Which is pretty funny.
yeah. So that's the trick. So if you do what you're talking about, Mike, if you ghost it
verify
then-
the key.
and you upgrade, that's what verifies the key.
I'm going to have to do it today because I got a terrible week coming up. I know one thing. I'm starving.
All right.
My
Oh,
wife
really?
cooked me
Well,
up.
of course, you didn't eat all week.
Yeah,
no,
but you
no.
should have seen. You should have seen what I ate last night.
Did you go to Golden Corral?
Heck no, I did better than that. My wife cooked.
Oh,
I'd rather eat my wife's cooking than have a free meal at Angus Barn.
There you go.
let's see what else we have here. Nick, do you have the special? Did you do specials?
I did.
You did?
I did. Yes.
Okay.
Let me email them.
No,
to you.
I'm just trying.
Well, do you want them emailed or no?
Yeah,
He does.
oh, absolutely, of course. There's another thing that Windows 10 now is doing. So Microsoft has turned on a new set of Windows tips that warns Windows 10 users that Google Chrome or Mozilla Firefox is draining their laptop's battery. Their solution, according to the notification, is to use Microsoft Edge. In a statement to the publication, the company said these Windows tips notifications were created to provide people with quick, easy information that can help them enhance their Windows 10 experience, including information that can help user extend battery life. That said, with Windows 10, you can easily choose the default browser and search engines of your choice. Now they are bringing up notices that tell you that that their competitors are not as good as theirs.
I read this story as well, and I think this is a misrepresentation of what's actually happening.
So what is your take on it, Nick?
My take on it is that these, if you look at Google Chrome and Mozilla, Google Chrome specifically, every single tab is its own process.
Okay.
That's a generic. When you're on a laptop, that's a generic warning that comes up. I've gotten that on my laptop plenty of times for various programs. Hey, vMix is using too much battery life. When you're using Google Chrome and you've got 45 tabs open, and each tab is an individual process, it's just a threshold in the operating system.
So what happens with Edge?
I don't know but it doesn't tell you to use Edge. It just pops up and it says this program is using a lot of your battery life.
Oh, okay. So according to this article, they tell you to use Edge.
I haven't seen
where
the one
that's
that says
that's
use
what
Edge.
you're saying is okay.
But I mean, it's smart battery saving stuff. You know, if you have something in the background and the pop-up comes up and says, hey, you know, this program is using a lot of battery, you just click close and it closes. So I don't necessarily know if they're, I doubt that they're trying. I mean, I've had a Windows 10 laptop as long as I've had one, and I've never had any pop-ups about battery life with Chrome.
FiOS. Several users have written in to note that Verizon has informed them the company will begin charging FiOS customers with an older router and new router maintenance charge. In an email being sent to many Verizon FiOS customers says that the fee of $2.80 will soon be charged every month unless users pay Verizon to get a more recent iteration of its FiOS gateway and router. Since Verizon FiOS often uses a Mocha coax connection and a gateway is needed for Verizon TV, many FiOS users don't have the ability to swap out gear as easily as with other ISPs. Our records indicate that you have an older model router that is being discontinued, state the email. If you do plan to keep your current router, we will begin billing on 9/29/16 a monthly router maintenance charge of $2.80 plus taxes to ensure we deliver the best support.
Perfectly fine with it.
But you don't have FiOS. Is Andrew still here?
Andrew doesn't have old. He's got the new quantum gateways.
Oh,
Which, you know, here's the thing, and I've said this about Microsoft in the past too. When you're using old equipment, old hardware, old software, the company has to pay to keep that stuff maintained. And if they're trying to get you to upgrade and you refuse to upgrade, and then they just drop support, then what happens?
well, I mean, are they
Hopefully this is the pushing factor for people to just upgrade to the quantum gateway. You have to rent a modem through FiOS. You can't buy one. You can't buy
Okay.
a Motorola surfboard. You can't buy a Ubiquity whatever. You have to use the Verizon FiOS router because of Mocha. You have to. You have no option. So either way, you're spending $5 or $10 a month on the modem.
I
So
don't like these setups where they arbitrarily add charges, but in this case, they probably have to maintain a bank of servers or routers to support the old one. So it is actually costing them money to have
Exactly.
people use the old router. And so I'm like Nick, that doesn't offend me nearly as much.
but I mean,
No.
so what is that part of this article? It says unless users pay Verizon to get a more recent iteration of its FiOS gateway and router.
You have to you pay month. You are leasing your modem. You just
Right.
have to pay. You have to swap your old one out for a new one. You have to pay a new monthly fee for the new one.
No, what they're saying, as
No.
I understand it, is they're just increasing the rental on the old modem.
I thought the modem rentals were all the same. I think it's $9 a month for
If
the
you
modem.
okay, so what is the reason that somebody who's it's not my equipment, and why wouldn't I upgrade to a newer modem router
Why
if
won't
it's not
people?
costing me anymore?
Because people are stuck in their old ways. Why won't people do computer upgrades?
That's
Why
a
won't
different
people do-
story.
It's,
Over
no, but it's
here,
not. It's
no,
not.
it is. It is.
No, but it's not. I mean, people don't want to upgrade. If it works, why should I need to upgrade it? That's the argument that everybody loves to make. And now it's costing Verizon staff and like Mike said, a rack of servers to maintain old infrastructure. So hopefully this, with $2 with taxes will probably end up being $4 or $5 a month. Hopefully, if you really care about what you're paying for it, you'll just go and get a new modem. I mean, Andrew just literally contacted Verizon. They just sent him 3 new ones.
Right. That's
Plug it in.
what would happen with Time Warner if you had their
because people
own.
are stupid and refuse to upgrade. Oh no, I can't upgrade. My one's working perfectly fine right now. So hopefully a $5 charge will be the pushing factor. We'll do it.
Well,
And that's what it comes down to. People get stuck in their ways and they refuse to upgrade anything. It's inconvenient or whatever.
okay. I need to jump off and go on my computer and update. Did you send it?
What?
Did you send the special?
Yes.
Okay. So can you guys
Give us a story.
give you a story? Give you something to talk about.
Yes.
Oh, look, hey, here's Verizon again.
Oh boy.
Verizon Wireless customers who have an unlimited data plan and use significantly more than 100 gigabytes a month will soon be disconnected from the network unless they agree to move to limited data packages that require payment of overage fees. Sorry. RNC Technical reports that Verizon stopped offering unlimited data to new smartphone customers a few years ago. But some customers have been able to hang on to the old plans instead of switching to new ones with monthly data limits. Verizon has tried to convert the holdouts, but raising the price $20 a month. They did it to me. And occasionally throttling heavy users, but stopped that practice after net neutrality rule took effect. Now Verizon implementing a formal policy for disconnecting the heaviest users. So data caps, I mean, there's a lot of talk about the data caps are just a way for them to make money, that there's no reason for it, that it's just a scheme for people to get for the carriers to make more money.
I think data caps at a certain point are schemes. But I mean, I don't know. How could you use 100 gigabytes of data on your phone? What are you doing on your phone to do 100 gigabytes of data? I use like
Porn.
I use 300 gigabytes of data across my Time Warner cable. 400 gigabytes a month, and I'm on and the computer's on. It's got 30 tabs open. It's on Skype. It's on all these other services, YouTube videos, and I'm using 300 gigabytes. How could you possibly use that much on a cell phone? That's astonishing to me. I mean, I've got a 10 gigabyte limit across 4 phones, and I don't have an issue. and you could call me a data heavy user. Nothing? No. Mike, Steve, hello, anybody there?
No, I was just what I was looking at. I was thinking about getting some SSDs today to do this imaging of the drive. So I go to Best Buy. I mean, we're talking about how Best Buy is trying to compete with Amazon. They're trying to get their act together. You start looking at the drives, particularly the ones that they're hawking as being great deals and clear. Nothing available. I did just find one in a store about 12 miles from here.
There you go.
Which one is it? It is the SanDisk 120 gigabyte drive for $43.
Do not get a 120 gigabyte drive.
Well, that's what's in this one computer. I mean, I could use it to ghost it to that, but what I really want to do is to image it to a larger drive and then update the existing drive and save it as a backup.
Yeah. I made the mistake of getting 126s and I'm paying for it now.
Well, I've been using this main i7 that I use is a 120, and if you keep the crap off of it, it can work.
See, that's a good thing with you. It's not your main computer, so.
It is my main computer.
And it's got 120 gigabyte SSD?
Yep.
Damn.
But it also has a standard drive as a D drive, and
As
I
does mine, yeah.
move stuff over.
I started off with a 60 and then cloned that to a 120, clone that to a 240, and I don't think it'll be very much longer before I need to clone that to a 480.
I need to clone mine to a. Actually, I should go on Amazon and buy one now. I need to get a 240.
Just take the crap off of it.
It's programs. There's nothing to take off. I mean, all my documents and everything are on Drive too.
An update on the netbook install. I thought I had a 32-bit Windows 10 USB installation. Unfortunately, it's a 64-bit, which is no good for a netbook. So I've gone to that link that I posted, and somebody else posted as well. And you can download a media creation tool, which allows you to download onto that PC. So you can select either 32-bit or 64-bit, and it downloads it to the drive and creates the USB for you. And progress at the moment is 0%. So
lovely.
It's going to take quite some time.
You know, I've got a bone to pick here with Amazon. They just renewed my Prime membership. It's $100 a year. And in the past, I want to say 4 months, I don't know if you've noticed this, Mike. It's like every 5 or 6 products I go to, there is a message that says Prime in stock, but requires an extra 1 to 2 days to process.
I'll tell you why I think that is.
Why the hell am I paying for $100 a year for Amazon Prime if it's going to take me 5 business days to get something?
Well, I ordered, and for what it's worth, we were the hotel we stayed in Cleveland. We really liked the shampoo that they provided, these little tiny bottles.
Yeah.
Went on Amazon, found it. It's very expensive, of course. But I said, what the heck? I had some bonus points. That made me feel better about it. So I ordered it. And this was probably on Wednesday. Expected it to be here when I got back. I got back late Friday night, got an email. Your order has just been shipped. Amazon Prime. Be here Monday.
You know, I don't understand with I'm paying $100 a year for this Prime service. I'm not using it as much as I did. And now I'm on this thing. I want to buy this PNY SSD in stock, but it may require an extra day or 2 to process.
I'll tell you what I think may be going on, and I don't know this. I'm just throwing it out for thought. They may be still catching up from this day that they had where they had all these unexpected orders.
Well, that was Prime Day, and that was like 3 weeks ago.
Was it that long?
Ago. Yeah, it was 2 weeks ago. It was when I was on vacation. So I think they're over that.
12th, wasn't it?
Yeah, the 12th. I mean, that's 2 weeks ago.
Is it possible, Nick, that it's because you're doing it on a Sunday?
No, I'm talking like 3 or 4 months ago. I was noticing this too. I feel like every time I go now, I look at another product and it says in stock. You can't be charging people $100 a year for Amazon Prime and half your catalog, it says it's going to take an extra 2 days to process. That's not Amazon Prime. If it's not going to be at my doorstep in the next 2 days, then it's not Amazon Prime.
Well,
That's what I'm paying for.
I was about a month ago starting to notice, and I probably complained about it here. I was starting to notice that they were saying available 1 day free, and then they were starting to charge $5.99 for, and I said, well, that's useless. I might as well just stick with the 2 day and not pay the $6 because the same day was no longer working well.
Right.
Even some of the next day stuff was having earlier ship dates and all that stuff. Most of that seems to be cleared up. Look, I'm not a defender of Amazon. I think they're a bunch of kooks. In fact, I know Jeff Bezos is very different from what I am, and more power to him. But he, if you look at, they might be suffering from one of the things that killed McDonald's. They are carrying so many items and so much inventory. They have to be reaching the point that they can't manage it all.
I don't know.
A lot of the stuff that I order comes the next day because it comes out of Raleigh.
You're lucky that you can get that.
I don't have any problems with their service. The problem I have is with the post office delivering it.
Charles says that Walmart now has free 2 day for $50 a year.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? I'm not a Walmart fan anymore. They've gone kooky. They've capitulated to political pressures, and I'm just not a fan anymore. If I'm going to deal with kooks, I'll deal with Amazon.
Hey, okay, so I'm looking for a 2 terabyte hard drive. What kind of hard drive do I buy? And why is the Western Digital hard drive $130 for 2 terabytes?
What color is it?
It's black, which I like the black.
That's why.
drive. Okay, what about a Seagate 2 terabyte drive? Are those?
I use them all the time.
So if you had the choice between a WD Black 2 terabyte drive for $122.93 or a Seagate 2 terabyte drive for $89, you'd buy the Seagate?
Are you going to use it as a primary drive or a backup?
No, it's going to be my D drive.
I wouldn't have a hesitation to buy the Seagate.
Oh, hold on. Never mind. This one's the solid hybrid drive. I just need a regular hard drive. $60 for a Seagate hard drive.
That's what I've been buying.
I haven't had any issues.
No, but see, I use them as D drives.
Well,
Okay.
in the last year or two, Seagate has been their quality control, I guess, is better. And I used to hear from Draymond, Mike. I mean, which ones they get it back, and it said Seagate's. We don't see any more returns. They have
It goes in cycles. The day's going to come
Yeah.
whenever Western Digitals aren't worth throwing in the trash can. Then a year later, it flip flops.
Yeah.
Here we freaking go again. Seagate hard drive, expected delivery July 28th through August 2nd. How the hell is that Amazon Prime eligible? It's
They're
not.
out
it's
of stock, Nick. They can't
but then
help it.
get rid of the freaking Prime
right.
logo. It's
They
not
should.
Prime.
They should take the Prime stamp off of
God.
it. Yeah.
I'm gonna go cancel my subscription after this show. This is absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah,
How
you'll
can
be
you
right
have
back.
that stupid Prime logo on there if it's gonna take a week plus to get here?
But what they should do, I agree with you that what they should do is say out of stock, expected such date, but then take Prime off until that time.
Right.
Yeah, because the problem is I sort by Prime. I'll spend a little bit more to get it here earlier.
Is it the only dealer that sells it for that price?
I don't know.
For
I didn't
Prime?
look.
Well, you
but-
see, I mean, I'm finding out also that there is a big difference between one and the other when it comes to Prime, and it's the same price. And the first thing that came up is on that Prime Day when I went ahead and I ordered the 2005 just because it was the right price. And the first one I went to was $56. And I said, well, somebody in the chat just said that it was 40 some. And I went to the next dealer that was doing it for the same price. And sure enough, it was 40 some dollars after they took off. So it's the dealers that are selling on Amazon are also they have different.
You got to look for because you can get it from a dealer that's not Amazon
No, I'm
not
talking
sold,
about
it's fulfilled by Amazon, but not
Yeah.
sold by Amazon for cheaper. Yeah.
right.
So yeah, there's a dealer that isn't Amazon where it's $8 more, but it'll be here the 26th, which is Tuesday.
Well, I think that
Yeah.
Amazon's shooting themselves in the foot by trying to be all things to all people. I mean, they sell dishwashers and lawnmowers.
Cars.
Yeah, it's just I just can't. It's
I
like
just-
every. Go
I
ahead.
just had to order a chrome strip for the front of my car, and I found it at Amazon.
It's great when it works, but I'm noticing more and more that I'm having issues ordering stuff on Amazon, where I sort by Prime. Because here's the thing: you're paying for the service, so and if it's not Amazon Prime, it's probably cheaper on eBay, and it's going to take the exact same amount of time to come. So if it's not on Amazon Prime, I'm not ordering it. I'll get it from eBay or some other online website that it's going to be the exact same time and probably cheaper.
Amnon, I have a question for you.
Ask me, Mike.
I'm looking at Best Buy website, searching for these hard drives. They're giving me a location at Cary Town Center. When
Yeah.
did Best Buy open a location at Cary Town Center?
Oh, they have a little place. As a matter of fact,
Oh, that's useless.
we've been walking. We've been walking there in the last few weeks, and sure enough, there's a Best Buy something. It's a small.
It might not be useless if they have stuff like that in stock. You'd be surprised.
don't.
There's a,
Yeah, but they have the one at Crossroads. No,
I
not
know, you can
Crossroads.
see them from each other. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. well,
typically, what I think is happening, that little place in that town center may be a Best Buy Mobile. They are splitting Best Buy Mobile off into a separate. It used to just be a separate
Okay,
section in the
you're
store.
right. That's what it said.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And my
mobile.
mall has a Best Buy and a Best Buy Mobile in the same mall.
That's right.
But I think the cell phone business must be doing well enough that it's worth for them to have a separate store for it.
Well,
which is
Mike, let
interesting.
me tell you why they are in Cary Town Center. If you go and take a walk around the mall, you'll see how many stores are available now for leasing.
Oh, they're going to tear it
It's
down.
Amazing.
They're going to tear it down.
Yeah. So that's probably why they got a good deal, and they said, "Okay, let's get into the mall." Who knows what kind of deal they made? Them.
By the way, Savage Pagan was
So-
recommending Hitachi drives, and if you look at the back blaze evaluation of drives, Hitachi far and away was the best drive.
Yeah.
I've had mixed results with Hitachi, and I've had horrible results with Toshiba drives. So-
Lately?
no. Oh,
Okay.
this was over a year ago.
All right. I mean, Hitachi were what was it? Remember the something star, dark star, travel star? We used to call it Death
Death
Star.
Star.
Yeah.
Desk Star.
Desk Star. We used to call it Death Star.
Yeah.
But yeah, these days they're working great.
Okay.
So just like you say, it's up and down.
Doom, 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 doom.
Yeah. Nick, the specials are up.
Yes.
Let me put it back in.
Let me grab the link for it.
Download progress 7%. The suspense is killing me.
So what are you doing? Windows 10?
It's 10 on the netbook, 32-bit.
And that
Yes,
I have a
Steve.
question about that. Is that going to upgrade to 64 or leave it at 32?
No.
No, because it's a 32-bit netbook, so I had to download the 32-bit. I've got a 64-bit on a thumb drive already, but of course that won't go on a 32-bit system.
Interesting.
I found many times if you are installing a 64-bit on a machine with 4 gig, it's actually slower. You put the 32-bit, which 64 does not take any advantage of 4 gig. It's a lot faster to go with a
optimized.
32-bit.
Yeah, it's optimized a little bit. I would
Yeah.
assume that they've done optimization to work. What 32 won't see past what? 9.5 gigabytes of memory, or 8.5 gigabytes of
No,
memory.
32 will not see past 3.5.
32.
Oh, 3.5. I'm sorry. Yeah, 3.5.
3.5, yeah.
So
All
Now,
right.
this
So
machine is
Alright.
only one gigabit, but it's 2 gigabit now. I've upgraded the RAM.
So North Raleigh guy posted a link to a monoprice where they're selling a Hitachi Ultrastar drive for $49.99, but you have to read carefully. Read what it says at the end of the description.
Pulled.
Drive.
No thanks. Here's the thing. I don't have an issue.
What?
It means it was pulled off the line for something. It could have been a QA drive that they pulled and didn't get boxed. This is how I see it. I like to find a bargain on whatever it is. I'm very cheap, but this drive is literally going to be storing everything I have on my computer. So I'm not looking to buy a refurb or anything like that. And if I have to spend $120 to get a WD Black, I will. I'm not going to, but
it's also 3 gig SATA interface.
Well,
It's standard 6 now.
Yeah, the standard is 6. So I'm not going to skimp on. I'm not going to try to find a deal on a hard drive. I'm just going to buy a regular inbox hard drive from a manufacturer.
By the way, it's interesting because
if it's going to be,
go ahead, Steve.
I was going to say, if it's going to be for critical data, then don't spend the extra.
Exactly, and that's the thing. I'm not. Normally, I will shop around and I'll try to buy it. If it's on monoprice for $25 cheaper, what a deal! But it's pulled box. The price doesn't really. The price is no object. I need to have a reliable drive for your data because, you really don't want to be in that situation.
So Tim says a pulled hard drive is one that was in a pre-built desktop system that was built by a system manufacturer but did not sell. The hard drive has been pulled out of the system and repackaged in static-free wrap. It has a 90-day warranty.
I don't know.
It's probably a good drive, but I'll tell you something. These idiots who disassemble these systems probably pitch them halfway across the room into the box.
Yeah.
Most of the drives that I use on my servers for Delta Force are pulled drives.
Yeah.
But they're redundant.
But they're redundant. That's the trick.
Exactly. I don't have, this is going to store my D drive. This is going to store every, all of the data I own.
But you're going to back it up.
Yeah, I do have a backup with Carbonite, of course. But
one thing I wanted to tell you
so far
is that in the booth, when we were in the booth, we had our own wireless. We had our own routers. I don't know where the wireless came from, but all of the routers in each of the booths was monoprice.
Oh yeah, God, their routers are dirt cheap,
and they work perfectly.
Yep. Monoprice has got a lot of great stuff. Cables.
No, cables are terrible.
No, their HDMI cables are fine.
Their 1/4-inch cables are terrible.
Oh, I don't have the 1/4-inch cable. I've got Monoprice Ethernet HDMI cables, Ethernet cables. Those are all great, but it only goes so far.
All right, let's do the special so people that want to leave at 11 can leave.
Okay, fine.
All right, we'll have time to talk about this later. I mean, come on,
whatever you want. So here's a Computers 2K Now specials for July 24th, 2016. I know Spence has been doing some kind of weird, he's been throwing in kind of odds and ends things. I just did a regular specials from the weekly ads. I didn't have a whole lot of time to put this together. So this is from Staples. There's an AMD. This is a Dell with an AMD A8 processor, which is, I believe, equivalent to the i3 or i5. I'm pretty sure it's the i3. For $249.99, it's a 15.6-inch screen, not a touch screen, 6 gigabytes of RAM, and a 500 gigabyte hard drive. So for $249, you buy this thing, you throw a $50 SSD in it, you got a $300 pretty slick computer with a 128 or 240 or 260 SSD in it. That's what I'd recommend with that. Here's an HP Slimline desktop. This is the new Intel Pentium processors with Windows 10, 4 gigabytes of RAM, and a 1 terabyte hard drive. This next one is interesting. We have two of these at work. These are these mesh kind of ergonomic chairs. This is I think it's the Heckman mesh chair. We bought two of these. My boss has got some back issues, and he got two of these a few weeks ago, and this chair is unbelievably comfortable. It kind of forces you to sit up straight and not slouch over, and I'm really liking it. And it's a good price for $149. And if you buy it online, he got his with tax for $130 something. So that's what those are really nice chairs, and some of the ergonomic chairs are crazy expensive, like $500-$600. This one's really reasonable for $149. Here's a pair of Logitech speakers. These are just a regular set of computer speakers, but it's got the bass and or the subwoofer and two separate speakers and a control box. It looks like for $249.99. You save $5 on that. Now, talking about backup, this is the Western Digital MyBook. I've heard a lot of mixed reviews about the MyBook. We have one, and I've had absolutely no issues with it. And the prices on this aren't that bad. So you can get the 3 terabyte variety for $109.99, the 4 terabyte for $129.99, or the 6 terabyte for $200. And that 600 terabyte one, or the 6 terabyte one, that's really not that bad. It's not, of course, it's not a NAS, so it's not backed up. But you talk about fitting a mass amount of data on something for $200. That's a really good home backup drive where you have a bunch of computers backed up to it.
I don't
So
know
if
what bad stuff you heard about my book, but the reruns here have been running for the last 4 or 5 years.
On the MyBook,
1 terabyte my book, and 24/7.
Yeah, a family member had one that died, and a lot of data was lost.
Yeah.
So, no, but that's something. It's all about personal experiences with this stuff. Actually, my boss had one die before I started working for him. It sits in the back. So,
Okay.
but either way, it's a 6 terabyte drive for $200. It's really great for backing up a bunch of computers in house. The Amazon Fire 7 tablet. I know Mike has a few of these for $49.99. Is that a good price? Would you buy the Fire 7 for $50, Mike?
I don't know, because mine was $350 because it's the Fire HD 8.9.
You don't have a regular Fire?
No. I don't know if I do. My wife may have one, but I will tell you this. If you want to play with tablets, these are fine. There are some problems with certain types of books that Amazon is blocking. Some of the Fires will not read Mobi or EPUB. They won't read EPUB. And if you're not dead into one size does all, if you just want to get a tablet, you remember those cheap ones we bought, the Nexus 7s or something like that?
Yeah.
Christmas last year, where I bought about 3 or 4 of them for my family. They don't do everything, but for what they do, they're fine.
No, and that's kind of the thing here. This is, I've got a few old Android tablets in there, and if you have an iPad, a 5-year-old iPad and a 5-year-old Android tablet, the iPad will blow it out of the water. But for reading books, which is kind of what the Kindle is for, this is a perfectly fine tablet. It'll do Facebook, it'll do Twitter, it'll do all that stuff. No issue. Gaming is, mobile games probably not, but it'll do most of that stuff. It's got 8 gigabytes of storage, and it's got Fire OS. And if you're a hacker, you can load a custom Android ROM on there and have some fun with it.
Well, by the way, 8 gigabytes is not a lot of storage.
No, it is not at all. But for a tablet, where you're not going to be, it's not like your phone where you're, walking around taking pictures with it every day.
One other thing too, Nick, I didn't have the specials open when you said it, but on the Logitech speakers, I think you said they were $249. They're $24.99.
Did I say that?
Yeah.
They'd be really good speakers for $249. $24.99. Let's see. This next one. This is a Brother Laser. I got to tell you, I got my Brother Laser last year for $5, and I would have had if I knew years ago how great these lasers were, I would have bought one probably 4 years ago. This printer is just fantastic.
And I would echo that even if you have a color dot matrix, you should buy this printer and use it for your black and white if you have room to store it.
Yeah, I mean, the printer is directly up here. It's sitting on top of a cabinet here. And I don't print a whole lot of stuff, but every time I print stuff, it's, comes out fast. It does, the ink isn't smudged. The text is nice and crisp and clean. So for $59.99, you're saving $40 on this. It's the Brother HL2320. I don't believe this one has got the Ethernet interface, but if you like playing around with stuff, you can install cups on a Raspberry Pi or an old computer and make it a wireless print server, and that's what I did.
Yeah, if it's got the W at the end, it's wireless.
Okay.
This is D. That means duplex.
It
They're
also has an N in it, I believe, if
right.
it's
That's the
network
network.
compatible.
Yeah.
And I'm going to go ahead and say it for what it's worth. If you use your printer wirelessly, be prepared for headaches.
Yep.
So that's the thing. If you use the wireless built into the printer, be prepared for headaches. I'm running Cups, which is a Linux printer server, and I can open up my phone right now and go to my emails, and 100% of the time it will print.
Okay.
So it's, you know, I don't normally print stuff wirelessly, but if I go on here and click print, this thing will just spit it right out, and you know, it's nice. So yeah, there you go. So after that, we've got a Dell 24-inch LED monitor for $129.99. Save $70 on that. It's a 1080p monitor. It's got VGA and HDMI, switchable, so you could hook something up via HDMI and hook something up via VGA and switch between them. And there you go, Mike. There's my email printed out from my phone.
There you go.
It's cups.
By the way, on that monitor, that's a good price. It's not a
Yes.
great price.
No, but
you
it's a
can
Dell monitor, and the Dell monitors are nice.
Yes, but Dell's got cheap monitors too. I've got one sitting over here in the box I paid about $80 for. In fact, the one to my right is a Dell monitor, and it does not, for what it's worth, and I've told you about this XP machine, a lot of these new monitors do not come with XP drivers. So if you've got a leftover machine that you want to put a big monitor on, some of these newer monitors do not have XP drivers with them. Put your old monitor on XP and use this monitor with your new computer.
Yeah, exactly. So I believe let's see. That's all we have at Staples. Let's move over to Best Buy. Here's a Lenovo desktop. This is a for a regular consumer. This is a pretty beefy machine, but it's a really good price. This is an Intel Core i7 with 8 gigabytes of memory and an NVIDIA GTX 730, which is above your normal Intel HD.
It's actually an i5.
Yes, with an i5, it's above the 730 is much better than your typical your Intel HD or HD 6000 graphics. So if you're doing any, like I know Mike likes to tinker around with SketchUp and stuff like that. Anything that is a little more graphics power than just browsing the internet and watching YouTube videos, this would make a great machine. And it's $600, and it's a Lenovo, which I know Mike's ranted and raved about in the past. So you get that at Best Buy. Now this next one, I actually just bought one of these this week. This is not this exact one, but something like this. This is the CyberPower 450 VA battery backup. This is great for your modem and router. I have a UPS for my desktop, but for this is $39.99, and you plug your modem and router into it so that if the power goes out, and as long as the nodes are still the nodes in the from the cable system are still on, it'll keep your router and modem up, and then you'll be able to still browse the internet, quick. Obviously you're going to shut down your computer when the power goes out, but it's not just going to cut off. And I used to have that issue. So for $40, you can back up have a battery backup for your modem and router.
I would also recommend that you get one for any DVRs or anything you have in the media on your TV.
Why? So they don't just cut off?
Well, right. Yeah, because let's suppose because a lot of times when the power goes out, the cable does not. So if it's recording a show, you don't lose the show you're recording. Yeah. It doesn't take 5 minutes to reboot like these Time Warner DVRs do. And sometimes when these things go off, particularly if you have a router or a switch or something located with your TV, sometimes this stuff, particularly with a flicker, it can screw up and need to be reset.
Yeah.
Nick, is the PDF dated correctly, or the one that's been uploaded? Is it because Tim's all in chat saying it's dated 10th of July?
Try refreshing. I see the recent one. Try clearing your cache or opening.
I clicked on the link in chat and I got the one on July 24th.
Try opening up in an incognito window or a different browser if that's probably the quickest way to do it. Now, this next one's kind of intriguing to me. I've been interested in the 3D printer. You can get the kits on eBay for $400 or $500 straight out of China, and they've got you got to put them together and everything. But this is an enclosed. This is the XYZ printer, a Da Vinci Junior, and it's a small pallet. But it's $350, and if there's some stuff I'd like to 3D print, Mike, specifically for this mixer. I'd like to 3D print some type of bridge to hook two of the sub channels together,
Right.
a little clip. So for $350, that's something that's intriguing. You're not going to be printing a 3D printing a gun or anything big on it, but you could make little plastic pieces. You could kind of get your foot in the door with 3D printing for not a whole lot of capital with that. So
In my opinion, it's a little too early.
you still think it's too early?
I agree.
I do.
I agree 100%.
I don't know. I don't think you guys have been on these 3D websites where people upload all their models. I'm telling you.
What I'm saying is, guys who have these really nice ones, the commercial models, they're doing some extremely amazing things with them. I'm just and maybe, I mean, we're not bleeding edge adopters here, so we may be behind, we may be wrong, but I'm not quite ready yet. It's an absolutely fabulous process. I was talking before about how I wanted to make some mounts for. I've got this microphone that our radio station first used in 1962. This is what they call the Elvis mic. This is one that they haven't made for many years, called a 556S. And used to, whenever all of the windscreen material and everything in it was gone, and when you shake it, it would rattle because it has rubber shock mounts in it. It has 3 rubber shock mounts in it that keep the element from bouncing around. And because of its age, all 3 of them are rotten. In fact, one of them had completely deteriorated. I was going to use a 3D printer to make one, and I happened to find a guy down in Florida who was making them. So I ordered a kit and refurbished it.
Yeah, I think that this is kind of my theory behind the 3D printing stuff. There is things that in your house and in your everyday life that may not work 100% perfectly, but an adaptation, some type of 3D printer addition to it, would be awesome.
But let me say this, unless you learn how to do CAD drawings or want to rely strictly on the ones that are available for download, the utility is going to be limited.
Yeah.
Or you need to get a 3D scanner.
Well, the 3D scanners are thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
Right.
But I'm telling you, if you are intrigued by 3D printing, go online and go to one of the 3D repositories where people upload all their projects, and think about something that you have in your house that you could do some type of addition. Thread. You can do so many crazy things with these 3D printers, and people are already doing it all. So $350, get your foot in the door. If you don't like it, you can sell it, or if not, you've got to. It's $350. It's not like it's the MakerBot where it's.
But and I'm serious when I say this. My attitude at this point is I'd rather send you some money, let you buy one, and if I need something, you make it and send it to me.
There's sites online where people do that.
And don't let
Yeah.
it fool you. The supplies are very expensive.
They're expensive if you buy them from the retailer. You can get them very cheap on eBay.
Yeah, well.
So yeah, there you go. That's get your foot in the
But
door.
yeah.
It's not a whole lot of money. So if you're intrigued, I'd recommend. I'm contemplating buying something like that actually. I just don't have the space for it.
It's kind of like buying a boat. I want my neighbor to buy one, and then I'll go with him.
Yeah, exactly. There you go. That's actually a great idea. The Lenovo IdeaPad. This is the 100S. This is a netbook, 11.6-inch laptop, an Intel Atom, 2 gigabytes of memory, and a 32 gigabyte eMMC flash SSD. Those little chip SSD drives are in this. $179.99. This is a great little media, watching something, sitting on the couch watching something. If you don't like tablets, this is kind of a substitute for that. If you'd like to have a little computer there. Here's a PNY 2 gigabyte flash drive or 16 gigabyte flash drive, USB 2, $499. You save $10 on that. I don't know. You can never have enough flash drive, so that's a good price for a PNY drive. And then this last one, if you do want to have some type of tablet, and you don't like the Amazon Fire, you want an actual tablet. This is the Samsung Galaxy Tab A. This is the 2016 release, 10.1, 16 gigabytes, $299.99. Not a bad price for a Samsung Android tablet. It's not a deal, but it's not a bad price either. Now, last thing here is Office Depot /Office Max First thing here is a Lenovo IdeaPad. This has got a Core i3 processor. It's a 15.6-inch screen, 4 gigabytes of memory, and a 1 terabyte hard drive. $299.99, and the same thing goes for this that I said for the last one. Get a $50 SSD, and you turn this $299 computer into a $400 or $500 computer. Because I'm telling you, that SSD, and I know people here have done the same thing. That SSD makes these things so much faster. You'd be completely shocked. So you can check that out. This is the Epson Workforce WF3640. So wireless print, copy, scan, and fax. $99. I don't know what the ink costs for one of these, but last time I checked, the Epson ink was pretty reasonable. So you can get this printer for $100, and it's an all-in-one. It'll do whatever you want. Here's a Dell Inspiron desktop with another Core i3 processor, 8 gigabytes of memory, and a 1 terabyte hard drive, $399.99. And this monitor, this might be a little bit better than that Dell monitor. This is a Samsung 22-inch. I have 2 Samsung monitors. I really like my Samsung monitors. The one I have is not brand new. It's probably 4 or 5 years old, and I'm very, very happy with it. It's got the best picture out of all the monitors I have. 22-inch LED monitor. It's $99.99. Save $40 on that. Now, Mike, I saw you shaking your head. Do you have bad experience with Samsungs?
No, I have a bad experience with 22-inch monitors.
Okay. Yeah, let's hear it.
And what I would say is this: there's nothing wrong with them if you're happy with the size. But if you're going to get 2 monitors or more, get all 22s. When you start dragging from a 24 to a 22, you hit the edge of the screen and it backs up and all that. Just I wouldn't mix and match. If you're happy with the 22, that's fine. I only buy 24s.
Now, let me finish these specials. Then I've got something I want to talk about quickly before we wrap it up. Kind of fix that stuff. Let's finish this up really quick. Here's an HP Pavilion 15.6-inch laptop. It's got a Core i3, 8 gigabytes of memory, and a 500 gigabyte hard drive, $329.91, which is an interesting price. I don't know how that happens. Now, this last one, this was actually Sean Callahan was looking at some label makers this week, and I saw this. This is a Dymo, one of the little palm labelers. It's only $15. It comes with one of the ink tapes. You can this is kind of like the same thing with those cheap printers. The cheaper the labeler, the more expensive the tape that you print on is. But for $15, it comes with a roll of tape. So you can use it, and then if you want to throw it away and buy a new one for $15, you could do that as well. So that's $15. You're saving $15. So,
but let me give you a tip on this. If you're looking at the PDF, if you look at where it says LM160, the label sticking out.
Yeah.
Do you see all the white space after LM160? A lot of people like to create labels that don't have all that white space in it. They just want a little short label with nothing but the text.
Yeah.
What you do is you create multiple labels at one time and just put 2 spaces between it before you hit the eject button.
It's a good idea.
Take a pair of scissors and cut them apart, and it'll save about 25% of your tape.
Mine has that issue. You can only make the text so tight on the printer. So
right, but then again, if you do multiple labels at once with only a space or 2 between them, then you cut them apart with scissors, trim off the beginning and the end, and you don't waste nearly as much tape.
That's a good tip. That could have been your
that was my tip of the day.
Tip of the day. There you go. So that's specials. A little bit back to what it used to be, but Spence will be back next week, and he'll have your weird stuff from where does he like it? Fry's or whatever.
Fry's. So, you done good, Nick.
Yeah, we don't have Fry's here, so I wasn't going to include.
We don't have them here, but they're mail order.
Okay. So there you go. Want to run into tips? Somebody wants to go first. I got to recollect myself with all this stuff.
Oh, I don't have one.
Oh, Mike, AMNON every week.
I know.
Nick, you need to start harassing him on Saturday.
I don't know. Mike, do you have a tip?
Well, I do, but it's the week I expected to know more. I'm going to go ahead and do it because it's very esoteric. I don't know that there'll be 2 people here who give a crap, but I'll go ahead and put it up there anyway.
Okay.
A distribution amplifier in audio means that if you take one audio source, let's say the output of your mixer, you want to send it to several places, such as you want to send it to computer 1, to computer 2. You also want to send it to a digital recorder. You also want to send it to a sound system somewhere in the room, whatever. That if you connect all these together, you can get all sorts of ground loops. You can mix balanced and unbalanced signals. You can create a real mess. The way the system is handled professionally is with what's called a distribution amplifier. And all it really means is with a mixer, you take 4 audio sources and combine them into one output. A distribution amplifier is the opposite of a mixer. You take one input source and distribute it to multiple outputs. In the radio business, those distribution amplifiers can be anywhere from $300 to $2,000 a piece, depending on how many outputs, how much adjustability, how much monitoring you want. Well, as much as it troubles me to recommend something from Behringer, just by chance found something that, sorry, my throat, is quite impressive. Behringer has what's called an MX882, and it's a mix, a distribution amplifier, but it's also a buffer amplifier. But it also can be used as a combiner. They use a pretty innovative switching system internally that when you read the manual on it, it doesn't make a lot of sense. It's actually confusing to me. And it's Behringer, so you expect it not to be the greatest and not very durable. But I bought one to take a look at it. I took it apart and looked inside. It's all surface mount. It's probably not repairable by most people. But I also actually found a schematic on it to a proprietary schematic source that I have. And I'll tell you something, this is a quality piece of equipment. The quality of the op amps that they use, the quality of the layout. I mean, this is not a toy. This is not a piece of junk. Now, having said that, if Gary and anybody wants to challenge me on the quality of it, that's fine, because he would be correct in saying that the pots are 50-cent pots, that the potentiometers, meaning that if you use them very much, they're going to wear out, as opposed to the $30 pots used in commercial equipment, or the $200 pots. And so that lasts forever. And all that is true, but this thing is $99. It is rack mount. It has VU meters on each channel. The way it is configurable is incredible. I don't even know where I'm going to use this one yet, but I did buy one. I actually bought a separate one on eBay. I found this one. It's made by a company called RDL, for Radio Devices Limited or something like that. And this one that I bought is called an ST-DO3, which is a stick-on. There's not much in it, but this one, it sells for about $130, $140 new. I bought it used for $30. You have to use an external power supply, but that's not a problem for me. But having said that, compare this one at $30 versus the Behringer that I just posted in chat for $99. If you need it, it's fine. And by the way, if you don't use rack mount, if you see the pictures on it, I couldn't tell from the pictures, but the rack mount ears, you can take off two or three screws on each end and remove it and make it a desktop unit. So it's called a Behringer MX882 distribution amplifier. And again, you can use it for any number of things. You can also use it as a line level combiner. I'm going to use it as a distribution amplifier. I'll probably end up buying 2 or 3 more of them. So
Okay.
at this point, I recommend it.
So you said a combiner. As how many channels can you put into this to combine?
I think it's 4.
So you can essentially have a 4-channel mixer.
Yes, I wouldn't use it as a mixer, but let's suppose that you had 4 sources you wanted to combine into one, and these are typical are things where you don't adjust the trim, you don't adjust the levels very much.
Yeah.
Then you would put it over to the side, connect everything to it, bring one stereo cable over to the mixer. Now, there's another thing I don't like about it, and that it has a lot of XLR inputs, and those XLR inputs are not combo jacks. And in Behringer mixers and other mixers, we've gotten in the habit of using a lot of the stereo 1/4-inch plugs. So it would be nice, because the XLRs are more expensive. They're great connectors, but they're more expensive. So I have to make cables for it.
Interesting. Well, I have to maybe look at getting one of these for.
You have to take some time and study the manual. It's confusing.
So you could play, but you're telling me you could put like 2 XLR microphones into this
Not microphones. It's all line level.
Oh, it's all line level. Okay, then never mind. I'm out
Yep.
of the market. I'm sorry, I didn't hear that part.
Yep. It's all line level. There's
Alrighty,
no
well,
preamps in it.
cool. All right. My pick's kind of interesting. If you have an iPhone and you're having battery issues, I was having some. My iPhone is I have the 6 Plus, the 6 Plus, and I got it right when it came out. So my phone's going on 2 years old, which is, unfortunately with cell phones, that's about as you can only get 2 or 3 years out of a phone before it really just stops working. It becomes very unreliable. The apps are slow. The crashes, so on and so forth. But I didn't realize there was a setting in the phone to reset. Of course, you can reset the iPhone and wipe all the data, but there's actually a reset setting that goes through and it resets all just all the settings. So like all your Wi-Fi settings, it wipes all that stuff cleaner, and it just kind of redoes the settings. And I was having some battery life issues, and since I went in here, it's under General Reset all settings, and it's kind of scary. I was like, oh my god, I hope this doesn't delete my data, but it didn't. And what it just did is it just reset all of the phone settings. So anything I had changed, it got rid of all the alarms and all that stuff. But I got to tell you, since I did that, it has improved my battery life a little bit. It's still not what it used to be, but if you're having any kind of weird glitches with your iPhone, I'd recommend doing this. It will reset all your Wi-Fi, all your alarms, and any other settings in the phone. But all your apps and data are perfectly fine. But like you have to redo all the notifications and everything. But I'd recommend that if you're having some issues with your iPhone or iPad. So that's my pick.
Aren't there any local businesses that replace batteries in them?
You can't replace an iPhone battery, so it's soldered on.
Right, but there are guys who will resolder it.
Oh, yeah. I mean, but I'm not gonna. I'm not gonna do that.
My wife has a Note. I guess was a Note 4.
Oh, she does.
What is that? The older one?
No, I mean the Note 4. I mean, I had the Note 2. I think they're up to the Note 6 now, or the Note 5.
Okay, I think she has a Note 4. Her battery life is terrible. It is, as far as I am concerned, I don't feel as badly about it as I did before because of what the guy at the Verizon store showed us on some things. But as far as I'm concerned, it is a piece of junk.
I'm a tinkerer and I like Android, but their battery life on these Android phones is god awful.
We're about ready to pay off this phone and get her an iPhone.
Yeah, I'm telling you, I don't like Apple, and I know you don't either, Mike. You're not a big Apple guy, but they've done the phones right.
They've gotten it right.
Such pieces of junk. They all suck. None of them are good. They're all absolute trash.
And her email stops working from time to time. I know how to do email on phone, PCs, and everything. She has her email account on her Android set up to check her email account. It will not download new messages. While we were at the convention, I had to set her up a Gmail client to be able to get to her email so that she could see the emails she was getting from these booking agents.
Yeah, that's more problems than they're worth. Spend a little more money and get an iPhone. I don't like Apple, but I will. I don't think I'm gonna. Well, actually, I may be getting another Android phone, but who knows?
Tim just said that Note 5 is out now and the battery cannot be pulled out. Can you change the battery in an iPhone in a Note 4?
In the Note 4, I think you can, but recently the new Samsung phones, they've gotten rid of that. It's all soldered on now.
If I could get her a new battery, that would take some of the pain out, but not a whole lot.
Tim said yes.
Okay, well, I'm gonna have to look to see how to do that because she and my son have one. My son doesn't have much problem with it. I mean, part of the problem with the phone is her, and I get that. But Apples are designed for idiots, and so those of us who are at least above that step a little bit ought to be able.
Here you go, Mike. Samsung Note 4 spare battery and charger, $37. So it's got a new battery and it comes with a charger. So you could bring this with you and have a spare charged battery and just swap it out mid.
Boy, what I would love to have had that last week. You should have seen the people charging these things. They even, by the way, Skype had multiple booths set up at this place. I have no idea why.
Interesting.
I wanted to stop and talk with these guys because they had a booth set up in Broadcast Row, I wanted to go over there and ask him. I said, why are you set up here when broadcasters are not going to use your service because of your onus licensing requirements? But I didn't get a chance to go do it. I suspect that they don't push that much anymore because they like people talking about it, but I'm not gonna try it.
Before we wrap up, Mike?
Hold on, Steve's got to do his pick.
Oh,
Steve.
And there was me thinking you'd forgotten me.
No, I didn't
I had
forget
some
you.
experience. Oh, that's very nice. I had some experience this week of I was trying to download something from a site, Upload Rocket Uploaded or something like that. I can't think which site it was now, but I got the familiar, your hard drive will be deleted in 5 minutes unless you call this number. And the browser was locked up, couldn't get anywhere. You just couldn't get away from the browser. This screen was on. Every time you tried to click to close it off or whatever, it was going ding, 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 ding. And I was thinking, no, if I didn't know what I was doing, I'd be in up the creek without a paddle here. And I tried it a couple of times using a couple of different browsers, and both the same. It's an advert basically came up. Not a very good advert. I certainly didn't want to buy it. The only way of getting out of it that most people recommend would be to turn the computer off. The only problem with doing that is if you've got something open that you want to save that you've been working on, then you're going to lose it. So the way you can get around it, which is what I did, is to open Task Manager.
Right.
And herein comes my tip, which a lot of people will probably know. You press Control, Alt, and Delete. And one of the options there is to open Task Manager. And you can end the process for Chrome or for Firefox or whatever it might be. That clears it without you losing the information that you've got open in the background on your system. You can also bring up Task Manager by pressing Control, Shift, and Escape. Or if you right click, if you still got a not toolbar, a task bar at the bottom, right click and then select Task Manager, and you can bring it up that way and close down the process for your browser, which will be Chrome, Firefox, or whichever one you use. That's my tip.
Awesome.
Cool. Awesome.
Oh, and obviously don't download things from uploaded.com that might be risky.
By the way, I'm curious if you guys have heard about this, because I was last night, and as zonked as I am, it's amazing I caught it, but I had Chrome open listening to chadadamshow.com. I mean, it was just sitting there playing. It had been playing for several hours. All of a sudden, I get it goes to a new website, and it pops up and it says, your Chrome needs to be updated. Click here to update. And the update wanted to download a batch file from some Uga Singa Figa FFF.com.
uh-oh.
I have no idea how that was done. I don't know whether I don't know where that I mean, Chrome has been rumored to have these vulnerabilities, but I don't know where that is.
No, it probably
Just come from an ad.
there's ads on that web
Yep.
player, and I bet you that
Yep.
ad player got injected with the ad company got injected with it. That's probably
Okay. Well,
what it
be
is.
careful, because if they're subject to it, no more popular than they are, then a lot of them are subject to it.
Yeah. Well, uploaded.com is a fairly reputable site. They've got some questionable ads at times, but this is what was happening. It was somebody paid to put an ad on that was telling me my hard drive was going to get deleted.
Yeah.
So, if you don't know what you're doing, then fine, turn the computer off. But I had some things open in the background that I didn't want to lose. I didn't want to sit there for another hour typing it all back in again.
Yeah.
So I was able to get around it. But Task Manager is your friend.
Yeah. I used to only get that stuff on porn sites. Now I get it everywhere.
Steve, the thing with turning off the computer altogether is for those who are not technically savvy.
Yeah.
I mean,
but like
you
I say,
are-
if you're not
you are-
technically savvy,
Yeah, you're better off losing what's open than losing a whole bunch of stuff. But if you know what you're
Yeah.
doing, then absolutely.
Yeah.
yeah, it's one
Um,
one extra option you have rather than losing if you just open Task Manager and
Yep.
end the process for your browser. That'll clear the problem. Then you can save. Then turn your computer off and start again.
I've got one more thing quickly here before we wrap it up.
Quick.
This is something what'd you say?
Quick, go ahead.
Okay, well, cool, fine. If anybody's got any recommendations, I'm looking to get a an ultra wide screen curved monitor to replace my two main monitors, something around the resolution of 3440 by 1440. So that's going to be something I'm going to be working on in the up and coming weeks. And if anybody has any recommendations or knows anybody that has any recommendations, I'd appreciate that.
Let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Have you ever used one?
Yes.
Okay.
Really like them. It makes it so much easier than two monitors that bezels
But
don't
why
line
the
up.
curvy?
Well, because it's a 34-inch monitor, so you want
It's
it curved.
wide.
Yeah, it's too wide to 34 inches across is too wide.
For a flat monitor, if you're too close to it, you need the curve. On a TV, you don't because you're further back from it.
Yeah, I mean 34-inch monitor is this wide across, so you know
The edges you
Yeah,
would hardly be able to see.
exactly. You want some type of curvature in it so that it's
Okay.
you're
All right.
not
It's
you're not
just that I remember.
straining.
I remember reading that curve was just a gimmick for TVs
not.
and stuff.
For TVs, it is because you're so far away. But from right here,
No, they're
you know,
Okay.
The reason
when
I
you
asked
sat hands length in front.
Steve, go ahead.
God,
So I say the reason that you're an arm's length from it. So if you want to watch Wimbledon, ideal.
yeah, yeah. There you go.
The reason I asked Nick is because I have a buddy who has a very widescreen monitor, and when I saw it on his screen, I saw it on his computer, I just salivated over it. I mean, the stuff he has on his screen on his desktop space is incredible. And I said, "Wow, where did you get that?" He said, "You don't want one." I said, "Why not?" He said, "I hate it."
The issue I have is I have 1, 2, 3, 4. I have 5 monitors on this computer.
I've got
Not
4.
Not one of them are the same size. I don't have any that are the same brand. They're all different brand monitors. They're all different sizes. 2 of them are 4x3. The 2 main monitors are about 3. There's a 3-inch height difference. It's just a real cob job of stuff. And I could get one of these for probably $400 or $500, and then move the 2 big monitors to the side.
I don't know if they make one, but I have to agree with you. As much as I have disdain for the company, I absolutely detest them. I would look for a Samsung.
Yeah. Actually, the one I'm looking at right now is a Samsung. It's
Did you see the one that Tim posted in chat at Best Buy?
No, I didn't. Hold on. Let me click
And
on
don't
that,
forget,
Tim.
Best Buy will match Amazon pricing unless they have a proprietary model number.
That doesn't even go anywhere. That's weird. Oh, there it does. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, there you go. $6.99. The one on Amazon's $4.99. But yeah, that's kind of what I'm looking at. So I'll in the coming weeks and months, I'm gonna be doing some more research and trying to get something like this.
Mike,
What?
I want you to go back and talk about something that you mentioned, Deoxit.
The what?
Oh, you said your new bottle of Deoxit was no good. What was that about?
That's probably going to be my pick of the week next week, but
Okay,
I've got
okay.
to, I've
We'll
got
talk about
to use
next
it.
week.
Okay, so the people that heard, what shouldn't they get? We don't want people to get something that you had a problem with, and somebody
Well,
may.
that was going to be on next week. I'll give you a preview of it. The cleaner that we recommend for any sorts of electrical connections, such as the plug-ins on your mixer, the connectors, is Deoxit D5. It's absolutely everyone who does anything at all in broadcasting or audio needs to have a
So
can
it's
of
the
it.
D5.
D5, that's the good stuff. However, I have learned, I think, I haven't verified it yet, I have learned that it is not good to spray D5 into the sliders of a Behringer or a Mackie mixer.
Uh-oh. Shit.
It doesn't
Okay.
hurt it.
Okay.
Doesn't
good.
hurt it. But it's not the optimum. There is another product that's designed for that purpose, and that's all I'm going to tell you right now.
All right. So that's good. So if anybody is looking for any, the D5 for connectors. All right.
You absolutely, if you have a mixer, you have to get a can of D5. Question, and if you get it, and I'll tell you when you spray it, it's just as soon as it sprays, you've got enough of it on there. Just the shortest that you can spray it on there is too much.
All right. Anything else?
No, I'm starving.
All right.
Yeah, the download's 30%.
Well,
It's
we'll be here
gonna
for the
an
next
all-day job.
4 hours, and we'll
Yeah.
we'll check in at the
Wish
top
me
of
luck.
every hour.
That's what I've been thinking. I mean, what's going to happen with Microsoft servers in these final days?
We're gonna melt.
Yeah, they're
aren't they?
probably going to be overworked. No, you're right.
Doesn't matter as
But
long as the
that's-
key gets once you click you want 10, it logs your key, so it doesn't matter about the download. The download's
a
not
good
going
point.
to go away.
All right, guys.
I just had another thought.
Go ahead.
What if I were to update this computer to Windows 10 and then roll it back to 7?
I don't know. I don't know. I don't trust that rollback, to be honest with
Oh
you. I
no,
think
it
something
works.
could go wrong.
It works.
It
I don't
does
know,
work,
man.
but I wonder if that validates the key for future upgrades.
Probably not, since you're rolling back. It's an
Yeah.
indication you want to go back.
Probably shouldn't trust it.
No.
Don't take the chance.
Yeah, I wouldn't.
All right. Well, Gary,
Clone
don't
is
call
the way
me
to-
after the show. I won't be in front of the computer.
Okay.
And by the
Well-
way, we pick on Gary a lot, but Gary was a godsend to me this week. He's from Cleveland, and it was very helpful to have some inside information about things. Unfortunately, I didn't have time to do any of it, but he helped me meet a guy up there that was a good connection to make and all that. Gary was helpful this week.
Gary is always helpful. I mean,
Yeah.
always was.
And don't call me because I won't be in front of the computer. I am going to eat.
All right, so go eat. Okay, guys. Thanks again. Thank you, Steve. Thanks, Nick, Mike. Thanks, everybody in the chat. And good morning, Kathy, Hannah, Nabil, Mac, Norm, Katie, and Donna. Thanks, everybody, for tuning to Computers 2K Now. We hope you enjoyed and maybe learned something from our time together. Remember to practice safe computing, back up your hard drive, and update your virus scanner. We'll be back here next Sunday at 9, but you can always reach us at computers2know.com. While you're at it, like us on Facebook and subscribe to our YouTube channel. At noon today, it's the Gisela Show. And at 8 o'clock tonight, it's the Tanya Love Show. See you then.
You are tuned to the Nissan Communications Network. Our weekly lineup of call-in programs includes Computers 2K Now with AMNON Nissan, My Life, My Will with Gisela DiCarlo, The Tanya Love Show, Health Then with Debbie Bruck, Breaking Free with Marilyn Shannon, Triangle Be Well with Howard Jacobson, Lunch and Learn with Rabbi Yisrael Cutler, Lessons of Vietnam with NCVVI members, Current Affairs with AMNON Nissan. And if you tuned in too late, you can always watch each program in its entirety or download an MP3 audio file of it in the archives section on nissancommunications.com. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on Twitter, and like us on Facebook. Sponsored by Atomos.com, makers of quality video recorders and converters, CarolinaApparel.com, and DeltaForce.net.